few episodes ago, I reviewed a licensed game called Regular Show, Mordecai and Rigby in 8-Bit Land, and I hated it a lot. Not only because the gameplay didn't work, but because it took zero effort into appealing to its fans. Slapping a few enemies and having some half-assed cutscenes is not good enough, and in the end defeats the purpose of the game in the first place. It was a blatant cash-in. But today, we're going to look at one last version of this problem, a game that does appeal to fans of the show and does work, but takes the original formula of its parent series and tries to imitate them, for better or for worse. That's right, it's a game based on a TV show based on the 3D games that are based on one of the biggest names in video game history, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. Try wrapping your head around that one. BNGR. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Why does this game exist? I mean, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures is a spin-off of a video game. Why does the show need its own game? Well, if you think that, then you're highly underestimating the popularity of the show. No matter how annoying you think Pac-Man's new voice is or how stupid the main villains are, this show is almost always #1 in its time slot. It's popular, it's cool with the kids, and I've watched it, and once you get used to the new characters, it's actually not that bad. I mean, it's not the best cartoon I've ever seen or anything, but it is nice to look at. It's alright. But enough about the show. Is Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures on Wii U a good game on its own? Well, it depends. And that's what's really going to make this a weird episode. It really depends on the situation. So without further ado, let's get straight into the game so I can show you why this is. It's a good transition. So the plot here, you know, this is really the first time I don't want to go over a plot. Pretty much what you need to know is this guy is Betrayus. He's the ruler of the Netherworld where ghosts live trapped in. This is Pacopolis. It's a city in Pac-World inhabited by, these guys. Betrayus is sending ghosts to destroy Pacopolis, and Pac-Man has to eat them, fry them, become a meme, whatever he has to do so he can save his planet. Yeah, that last one was right, by the way. Pac-Man becomes a meme in the show. Man, don't you just hate when that happens? Oh no, my hair! I'm a meme today. Oh no, I got like that in my house. Meme it! Oops, I accidentally posted my eShop card online. Oh. I'm actually a meme. But anyway, the problem here is that the game just assumes you know the show and all this pack terminology. That and the cutscenes are just people talking, so there's no real sense of urgency. I don't care about your globes or your Frigidigitator being stolen. Yes, that is actually what you're saving in this game. And all of this together makes some of the most boring storytelling I have ever seen in a licensed game. If you haven't watched a show like I did, it's gonna make zero sense, you're gonna be upset that there's so many stupid, goofy characters you don't know, and it's gonna put you right to sleep. No matter who you are, it's best that you just skip all of them. Now as for the gameplay, it's alright. You're going to be hearing that a lot today. You gotta chomp enemies with Y, scare them when your meter is full with X, and you can pull off some double jumps too. With these totally average powers, you gotta chomp ghosts while they're not attacking, pull the occasional switch or two, and get some coins and pellets for once, I have no idea. Now here's where my problems start with the game. There's all these pellets you can collect, but what's the point of them? I mean, yeah, you use coins for arcade machines, fine, but these pellets seem to be only used to unlock mandatory levels. They don't get you extra lives like eating ghosts do, so are they just here to artificially lengthen the game? It's such a freaking waste! And if they do anything else, I can't find it anywhere. No one on GameFAQs played this game, there's no guide anywhere, and I went to check the manual, and guess what? There's nothing in this manual. You know? Maybe it's in the e-manual? No? You know, even the worst games I have ever played on Wii U had a freaking e-manual. The pack is back! Now if the core gameplay was still entertaining, this wouldn't be that big of a problem, but the camera is literally the worst thing in the game. It's to the point where half of the game's deaths are because some stupid object was obstructing your view, and you go off flying some endless cliff. And sometimes, it'll just go nuts. Are you serious? And to make things worse, this hub world sucks. Like, it's void of any sort of imagination. It's just Pac-Man in a school talking to his friends with the same dumb one-liners. And you can unlock some half-ass mini-games that should have just been the original Pac-Man games. Like, seriously, I've played Mario Party games that are more fleshed out than these. It's a huge waste of potential. But now that we got the bad stuff out of the way, bad story, bad camera, bad world hub, dumb collectibles, there's just as many good things to say about the game. What, you thought this game was just gonna be shovelware trash? Well, yeah. Me too. I mean, the best game these guys have made is Curious George on the Xbox, so take that for what you will. First off, the game's level design is actually pretty commendable. The first few levels are kind of bland with a bunch of random platforms strung together, but I was super impressed with everything after that. There's a ruins level with all kinds of crazy monsters, death traps, and different ways to use your chomping abilities. World 3 is the actual netherworld with lava traps, crazy boss battles, and even smaller segments with completely new controls. You got an ice world, a sky world, a final world that combines them all together, and though it's nothing mind-blowing, the game switches up things a lot. It actually had me looking forward to what each level had in store for me. But Pac-Man isn't just all chomps and jumps in this game. He's been given a bunch of powers via Pac Dots, just like in the show. You got the Fire Pac-Man, Ice Pac-Man, Ball Pac-Man. Oh god, I didn't expect it to be that scary. Each power-up's pretty self-explanatory, and the auto-target system for them works really well. Not to mention, if you do lose your power, you don't have to worry about not progressing, you just gotta go back and get another dot. It's never really an issue, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it actually gives me Super Mario Galaxy vibes. Also, if you're wondering how hard the game is, it's usually pretty easy, and solving puzzles do give you a sense of accomplishment. I just kinda wish the exploration had a purpose besides getting extra lives and tokens, and that the camera didn't suck, but I still had a pretty good time. Except the ending. The ending is freaking terrible. You just reflect lasers at Betrayus, and then you eat him, and then complain about how he tastes. What would he taste like? It's just kinda weird since the last world was actually pretty good up until that point. Kid shows these days. So now that you know the basics of Pac-Man, it's time to see how it stacks up to another platformer. You see, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures may be a licensed game, but the gameplay is heavily influenced by one of the series I grew up with as a kid and haven't played in over 10 years. Pac-Man World! Now of course, with Pac-Man World 2 being one of my favorite platformers on the GameCube, I was a little fast to jump the shark and say, this new Pac-Man sucks, the old one's better, platformers were good back in my day. But then I went back to it and it's not as great as I thought it was. So let's put these two games together head to head and see what's different about them. I hope this isn't a gang sign or something. The first thing we're going to compare is the camera, and both of them are really freaking bad. It just goes in and out of shots, it gets stuck on walls, and what's even worse is that in World 2, Pac-Man has a move where he runs forward and you can't control him well, just like a power in some other stupid game. They made the same mistake. Twice, over 10 years between. This one's a tie. Number 2 is level design, and World 2 has no superpowers besides this. It instead relies on Pac-Man's current arsenal, and giving him new levels to explore and be amazed at. But Ghostly Adventures has new versions of Pac-Man to learn and master, but has a much smaller arsenal for each of them. So in this regard, World 2 has better design, but Ghostly Adventures has more playstyles. Number 3 is completion, and World 2 actually gives you a purpose to collect its crap. You actually want to 100% the game, find all the fruits, get the Pac Dots, and so forth. It rewards exploration. Ghostly Adventures just has it there for show, and nets you arbitrary stuff like extra lives and hearts. To my knowledge, it doesn't mean anything if you get all the Pac Dots, so World 2 is much better in this regard. Number 4 is story, and World 2's story is hilariously awful. Like, what am I even looking at here? Is that a Pac Dog? Why is this guy under a tree? Is that Ghost playing Loves Me, Loves Me Not while a Pac-Man is sleeping? Oh boy, I'm out of here. But you know what? A so bad it's good plot is more entertaining than this. Nobody cares about this. World 2 wins again. So at the end of the day, with my nostalgia goggles off, World 2 is better in most regards. Therefore, if you have a GameCube or Wii, just get World 2 and forget this game even exists, because Ghostly Adventures makes more mistakes and the game is 10 years older. You'd think a decent camera would be figured out by Namco at this point. Or Bandai Namco, Namco, Bandai, whatever they're called, they change it like every 3 seconds. But for everyone else, without comparing it to other Pac-Man games, is this game still worth getting if you have a Wii U? Well, let's get straight to the review and find out. First up is fun. Oh boy. So you all pretty much know my stance on platformer design at this point. You need good control, precise movement, varied gameplay, and skill-based design. Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures has all of these, but the camera almost ruins every single aspect. And you know what? When the camera's not a problem, the game's really fun, although a bit mindless, so since these problems prevent the game from being a solid experience, it's just alright. Check minus. Second up is looks, and the levels look nice. The colors really pop out, the enemy animations look cool, and it perfectly captures the theme of the show. The only problem is that the cutscenes look like poop, there's a few glitches I actually came across, and the hub world is insultingly empty. So with all the good canceling the bad here again, it's just, well, you get the idea. Check minus. Third up is sound, and you know what? This is a really nice orchestrated soundtrack. Within the levels you can hear references to other games like Dig Dug in it, and the voice acting is fantastic as well. I mean, it's not gonna blow you off your chair or anything, but it gets the job done really well. Check. Fourth up is length, and this game's actually pretty long for a platformer. There's 6 worlds with a handful of really lengthy levels, but it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome either. Besides the first world, each level tries to incorporate something new, and it can be playing through all the cheap deaths. I kinda wish there were more incentives to replay the game besides harboring extra lives or tokens, but overall, for $20 you are getting your money's worth. Check. In conclusion, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures is, you guessed it, alright. If it fills its purpose as a licensed kids game and lets him relive the show and does a pretty decent job with it. If I had a kid, I would definitely play this game with him or her. But Pac-Man has a name to live up to, and this does not live up to its quality yet. The game doesn't have too many flaws and did do a lot of things right, but those few problems really hurt the experience and prevent the game from being as good as, say, Pac-Man World 2 and 3. And with a sequel to this game coming in October and a third game already greenlit, I can only hope that the developers learn from their previous mistakes. So to bring our last licensed game to a close, is Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures a bad show? No. If you give the characters a chance and remember that the show is for kids, is the premise good? Of course. Is it different? Yes. Is Balloon Pac-Man an abomination to the human race? Without a doubt. But unlike some grown-ups and reviewers who grew up with Pac-Man that are like, oh, this is not the Pac-Man I know, you better change it back right now, make it the Smash one. Number 1, you're asking to bring this dog back. Number 2, I think the older games had a lot of their own problems. And number 3, I think Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures is decent and you all should have a more open mind about it or even check it out. Or if not, just go play Pac-Man World 2 and forget this exists. Whatever. But I see an alright game with a lot of potential for at least a good series. It's just that the first game is only okay. Check minus. Whew, really dodged a bullet on that one. I thought the game was going to be terrible, but I ended up still having a good time. Isn't that right, Wario? Oh, who am I kidding? It's not the same! Now that I think about it, my show's so samey now. I just follow a formula, do the same thing over and over again. It's like the new Pac-Man. The magic I had when I started this series feels like it's all lost. Which means there's only one thing I need to do. Get him back. That's alright.